My air conditioner suddenly stopped working on the hottest day so far this summer. And at this time of year, hiring a repairman is expensive and next to impossible to get an appointment. So in this video, I'll show you how I replaced an air conditioner capacitor and fuse to get my AC running again. Please watch the entire video first before proceeding because I explain important safety tips scattered throughout the repair. That's because there are high voltage components inside the compressor unit that can injure or even kill you if you don't take precautions. Definitely call a professional if you feel this project is above your comfort level. To start, turn off the HVAC system on your thermostat. Then turn off the main breaker to the air conditioning system. And right next to the compressor there's another junction box. Open it up and pull out the main electrical connector. And this is where I found my first problem. This connector has fuses behind it and one of mine was blown. Replacing the fuse is really easy to do, and I found replacement fuses at Lowe's. Make sure the replacements match the old fuses exactly according to the specifications printed on them. But replacing the fuse didn't get my AC running, so after doing some research, I was almost certain I needed to replace the capacitor. But you have to be extra careful with capacitors because they hold a lot of voltage that can seriously injure you or worse. So I'm taking extra precautions with rubber electrician gloves and a capacitor discharge tool. First thing I'll do is test to make sure the discharge tool is working. Voltage shown on the display means this is working correctly. Now I can start the repair on the outside compressor. There's a small panel where the electrical components are housed inside the unit. Usually a 5/16 socket will work on these screws. I know power is shut off, but once the panel is open, I still need to be careful of any lingering electricities, especially from the capacitor. Even though I've had my power shut off to this unit for about a week, the capacitor can still hold a dangerous charge for a long period of time. So I'm getting my first look at the capacitor and it looks slightly bulged at the top. That's definitely a sign it's no good anymore. And because I'm not a professional, I'm using these thick 1000 volt rated rubber gloves. There may be a bit overkill, but for me the more safety the better. First I'm going to discharge the capacitor by holding one of the probes of my discharge tool to the C terminal and the other on the HERM. Then I'll do this again by holding the probe on C and then the other on the fan terminal. These will be clearly labeled on the top of the capacitor. With this discharge tool, the display isn't lighting up because anything under 10 volts will not be shown on the meter. So I know this capacitor is discharged. Now I can unmount the capacitor from the AC unit. Most are held in with a metal strap, but mine has a retaining clip for the housing. When shopping for a replacement capacitor, it's important to get a new one with the same specifications. My old one is 55/5 microfarads and 370 volts. At this point, I'm sure this capacitor is bad because I can see it's leaking fluid and it's bulged up on top. So I got this replacement capacitor from Amazon for $25, but you can find some that are less expensive. With safety in mind, I'm using my gloves to take the capacitor out of the box. The new capacitor is slightly taller and it's 440 volts instead of 370 volts. Going with a capacitor with higher voltage is okay, but you can't replace a capacitor with one that has a lower voltage than the original. Last thing I'm going to do before installing the capacitor is to discharge the new one. I'm doing this mainly because I don't know if it was charged up before it was shipped to me. Alright, this is looking good. Now take a picture of the old capacitor wiring with the terminal labels clearly in view for future reference if needed. And because of the housing, I'm going to test fit my new capacitor to make sure I got the correct diameter. Wiring is easy to do if you do it one at a time. C to C, HERM to HERM, and fan to fan. If you find that any of the connectors are stuck, use a pair of pliers and pull it off from the connector and not by the wire. Once the connections are made, secure the new capacitor back into the AC unit. And while the power is still shut off, this is a good time to clean out any cobwebs and debris inside. Of course, this is completely optional. Okay, after the side panel is reattached, I'm going to reinsert the electrical junction that was removed earlier. Then turn on the breaker switch to the AC system. And now the moment of truth. Oh yeah, this is nice. My air conditioner is working again. This is an inexpensive and easy DIY repair, but I have to emphasize the high voltage risk when working on equipment like this. The rubber gloves I use in this video might be overkill, but I highly recommend getting yourself a capacitor discharge tool before ever touching the capacitor. The discharger was $16 and I've listed the one I use in the description so it's easy for you to find. Now I've got AC again to cool my house down for the rest of the summer, and I saved a bunch of money by doing it myself. If this video was helpful, please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all my weekly videos.